guys, me again. So the internet and my phone does not like me today. I have a super old phone and it's had a really hard time connecting to the internet lately. So I've literally been trying to connect for like 8 minutes and my video died just now. So sorry about that. I am getting a new phone next week. Thank goodness. So if I go blurry today, I'm sorry. If the video dies, I'm sorry. I will try my best to start it over. But what I was trying to say before the internet connection booted me off is that we are starting the second ever installment of Coffee Talk. So this is where I come into the group live every single Thursday to chat with you guys about a new subject every single week to help you turn your blog into a business. So grab your coffee, I've got mine, and this is literally us sitting down together, you guys, and chatting. I don't want to just be talking the whole time by myself, blah, 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 me. Like, I want you to comment, I want you to ask questions, and I want you to share your own tips and strategies. I want us to just come together, have coffee every week, and really help each other out. So today, we are going to be talking about how to create an effective blogging strategy. So everything from using an editorial calendar, how to be consistent, how to come up with quality content that's actually going to grow your brand and be suitable for what you're trying to do and make money if that's your thing, some SEO tips. So we're kind of be covering like a lot of little tips and I'm really excited. Last week we talked about productivity and time-saving strategies. So if you missed that, you can view all the videos in the group by just clicking on that Photos tab at the very top. Once you do that, you'll see a Videos tab, and then all the videos are displayed there. And I think they are displayed starting, I think in order to view the newest video, it's in the top left corner. So be sure to check out last week's Coffee Talk if you missed it. But anyway, super pumped to be here. Chime in with your own strategies, please. Today, I'm going to be sharing what has worked really well for me and what I do and what I continue to do. So just a little heads up in case you don't know my story. I've technically been blogging for 10 years, which is a really long time. That is a full decade. I started my first blog in 2006 and I've been doing it ever since. But in the last year is when I went from blogging just kind of like for fun as a hobby to turning it into a full-time business. So it is now my full-time business. So the things that I'm going to be sharing with you are things that I actually have done and or do. I think that's really important. I'm not just regurgitating these tips and tricks that I read about somewhere and that I haven't actually done myself. So with that in mind, get your beverage. Here comes the accent. They just always happen. Get your beverage and let's get to talking about creating an effective blogging strategy. Okay, so blogging. If you are watching this, you probably want to turn your blog into a business. Yeah, maybe make a little bit of profit. So the heart of your blogging strategy, the heart of your blogging strategy needs to be focus, it needs to be value, and it needs to be quality. That is the foundation of what should be your blogging strategy. So by focus, I mean that every single blog post you write needs to be written with the purpose of your business in mind and your ideal client in mind. That's why it's very, very, very important to be super clear on those things from the get-go. Little story, when I first started my blog, as I mentioned, I've been blogging for 10 years. But starting in, I think it was 2013, I secretly wanted to make money with my blog. I just didn't know how. And my focus, part of the problem was my focus was very muddled. I was trying to do too much. I was doing DIY, I was doing recipes, sharing dating tips, personal life tidbits, photography, storm chasing adventures, some business and blogging tips on the side, and it was just all over the place. And the problem with that is I was feeling totally overwhelmed because, let's be honest, I couldn't do 10 million categories and do them well. I just didn't have time. And B, I wasn't able to really get a following because the people who would come to my blog for, say, photography would only get a photography post every once in a blue moon because I was busy trying to do like 8 million other categories. So I had an extremely hard time getting traction when my when my focus was muddled. So it's very important to really, really, really be focused. And so my blog started to gain traction when I cut all of that other stuff out, got honest with myself, because I sucked at recipes and DIY and all that stuff. I was just that's what I thought I needed to do. Cut all that out, got honest with myself, and realized that my passion is showing people how to start a business, because that's what I've done. I've run my own business for the last 7 years, all right? So be very focused. The more, the better. Get honest with yourself, all right? Don't just blog about things because you think you have to. If you're not into business and sharing business tips and blogging tips, if that's not your area, then don't do it, all right? Same with me. I had to get real and be like, you know what? I'm not the girls over at A Beautiful Mess. So I ditched all that and I began seeing progress immediately. The other part of your foundation is value. So your readers have got to get value out of every single post. I don't remember where I read this, but someone told me that readers are selfish. And they are, because they come to your blog because they want something, whether it's a tutorial or inspiration, entertainment, tech training on something. Readers want something. So every single time you do a blog post, you need to make sure that you're giving your readers something, some takeaway. I, for a long time, was just sharing my personal life stories. Like, hey guys, what's up? So this is what I did today. I went and got coffee, and then I went and did this, and then I went and did that. And to be honest, those posts were for me. They were for me to share my stuff and kind of do it scrapbook style, but no one really cared except for maybe a couple friends and family. So if you're doing like a lot of personal posts and stuff like that, it's going to be, you need to make sure that you're giving away value. It's very hard to build a business off things like sharing your life personal posts. I'm not saying you can't ever share personal tidbits, but like, unless you have a very large following, you're not going to really gain traction just off of sharing what I did today. A good example of someone who does do that, and I haven't actually been to her blog in forever, but the Pioneer Woman. Did anyone read her blog? Does anyone read her blog? The Pioneer Woman was one of the first blogs that I was following regularly, and she had a gigantic following, and she was able to share what she did that day because A, she had a giant following, B, she filled it with amazing photos, and she wrote really well, so it was very entertaining to read. So value, guys. Every time you post, your readers need to get something out of it. All right? Focus on them, not yourself. Got to shift your focus on them. And also, the other part of your foundation being quality. So I always emphasize when people are like, well, how often do I post? Quality over quantity every time. It's really obvious when people are pumping out posts for the sake of just getting material out. So you want to be focusing on quality. And what do I mean by quality? What constitutes a quality blog post? For me, hey, what's up, Brianna? You read it a few times. You think you got some printables once? Yeah, I haven't been to her site in forever. I'm assuming it's still there. I know she has a show, but anyway, yeah, Pioneer Woman. Okay, but quality, you guys. Quality over quantity. And Brianna, be sure to share your favorite tips and strategies too if you would like. But quality for me is very important. When I go to someone's blog and I am confronted with filler blog posts that are just kind of like blah, I'm not going to come back or sign up for their email list or want to pin it or anything like that. So for me, quality means length. They're preferably at least 1,000 words. Some of my blog posts, you guys, are 5,000 words. You know, high quality images. There is no excuse for using crappy, pixelated, poopy images. I have the vocabulary of a 5-year-old apparently today. But there's no excuse for that. If you don't take your own photos, there's a million high quality stock photos that you can use. And speaking of images, please make them full width. It just looks so much better when they match the width of your blog column. So don't use little thumbnail images or anything like that. And it's going to vary platform to platform. There is no one size fits all. Depending on your platform and template, it should tell you what size to make your blog images, but make them the size of your blogging column. What's up, Mallory? Another thing is content upgrades make really valuable posts. Content upgrades add value to your posts, and they are going to grow your list like whoa. And I'm going to go into that in a little bit, but content upgrades add value. Formatting, you guys, to create quality blog posts, make sure that you are formatting them correctly. So by formatting, you're putting your content into small, digestible paragraphs. People don't want to come and read these when I go to a blog and just see these big, long hunks of text, I don't usually stick around to read it. And the reality is I think most people are going to skim your blog post. Most people are pressed for time. They want the takeaway as fast as they can get it, and they're going to skim your post. So it's really important to format it in a way that allows people to skim it. So you're putting your content into very small, digestible bits. Sounds tasty, doesn't it? You're using sub-headlines, you're bolding important information. So I should be able to scan your posts. And talking about how often to post, I say, like I said, quality over quantity. Find what works best for you. So in the beginning, I was trying to blog 5 times a week, and I got burnt out very, very, very quickly, and I was going insane, and I could not put out a quality blog post 5 times a week. I just didn't have time. So I kept whittling it down until I found something that worked for me. And for a while, blogging twice a week worked really well, and then I eventually moved it down to once a week, and now it's like once a month. So my thing is you have to find what works for you. If you can pump out 5 quality blog posts 5 times a week, you go for it. But most of us are not going to have that kind of time. And I think that something that is equally important is after you find what works for you, then you do need to be consistent. You can't just put out a blog post or, blog every day for like 2 weeks and then ignore your blog for months and months and months. All right. So once you find what works best for you, whether that is 3 times a week or whether that's once every 2 weeks, then be consistent. Brianna says, blogging is something I have been struggling with because I have 1,000 ideas for everyone else. Oh, okay. So we are going to talk about content. I'm going to share with you my tips for coming up with content ideas here in a second. And if anyone else has info on how they like to come up with content, chime in. I'm also going to go over tips for SEO, Shelly. So yes, I'm going to answer that question momentarily. But first I want to talk about how you can be consistent with your blog, because it's very, very, very important to be consistent once you find out what works for you. So for me, and this is what I've done from the beginning, and what you should also try is an editorial calendar. I think I mentioned it briefly during last week's coffee talk when we got sidetracked, but it's going to help you be consistent in blogging and be strategic with your blog if you plan it out in advance. So every single month, you should be a couple weeks before the following month sitting down and planning out all the blog posts that you are going to write for the following month. So like in mid-September, sit down and plan out all the posts that you're going to write about in October. And this allows you to focus on what you should be focusing on, which are quality blog posts. And if you are launching something, you want to plan strategically for your launch. So if you have a launch coming up, when you're planning your editorial calendar, you want to think about, okay, like you need to be writing blog posts that kind of prepare people for your launch, that educate people about whatever it is that you're going to start selling. But in my mind, there are 2 types of blog posts. There is, and I don't even remember who I learned this from, but there really should be 2 types of blog posts that you focus on. There are really quality reputation building posts, and these are simply posts that focus on serving your ideal reader, your purpose, and providing a shiz ton of value so that they get shared like whoa on like places like Pinterest. And then there is gateway blog posts. So those are the other kinds. So those are the blog posts that you write that lead into your paid content, that lead into, say, a lead magnet, which in turn puts people down a sales funnel and leads them to your paid product. So gateway content is content you need to be creating to lead people to your paid stuff. So editorial calendar. Do any of you guys use an editorial calendar? Like, am I the only one? Please let me know if you use one. I would love to hear how you do it, how far in advance you do it. I typically will do it like 2 weeks in advance, unless I'm doing a launch, and I will do it sooner. But editorial calendar, you guys, is going to you're never going to be scrambling around at the last minute being like, what should I blog about? Because you will have planned that weeks in advance. And the advantage is, if you know what you're going to be blogging about way in advance, then you can start kind of writing the blog posts ahead of time and not be pressed for time, being like, I don't have time. Okay, so SEO tips. And again, you guys, feel free to share your own SEO tips. I don't actually consider myself an expert. I have just learned and tried things. So some of the things that I do are obviously keywords in your blog post, in your title. One thing I know is that you do not want to use too many keywords in your blog post, all right? If you're using a ton of keywords in your blog post, it will actually be read kind of as spammy. And the SEO Google robots will actually penalize that. So I don't remember what the ratio is, but using them maybe three to 5 times in your post when appropriate, when you can organically plug them in. You don't want to just be like, oh, and then I was talking about, and just like really awkwardly stick in keywords for the purpose of getting in keywords. So sprinkle in keywords for sure. Think about phrases that people are going to Google when they search for whatever it is you're writing about. So as you're writing the blog post, before you write the blog post, think about, okay, like what actual phrases are people going to search for that I want them to lead to this post? So think about phrases that people are going to search for and then put them in your blog post. Another thing is file names for your photos. So anytime you plug photos into your blog post, which you should, because they look good, they break up the text, and they actually help with SEO as well, you want to make sure that you're changing the file name of your photo before you stick it into your post. So instead of sticking in photo number, file name number 27, you want to name it whatever your blog post title is called. So if I'm doing a blog post, let's say it's just called 16 tips for better SEO, I want to name all the photos 16 tips for better SEO, and then plug them into my blog post, and then of course making sure to put the little metadata in there and the little caption and all of that. So you want to be sure you're filling all of that out. Maria says she does one 2 weeks in advance. Unless you're launching. Yeah. That's pretty much what I do. So yeah, be strategic with your blog posts. And using an editorial calendar is going to help you with that. Okay, so going back to SEO, inbound and outbound links. So linking to your quality content, like referring to other blog posts, linking to other high quality websites. Inbound and outbound links that are high quality are also going to help you. And just kind of going back to quality, we just kind of went over what makes a quality blog post. Long quality blog posts are going to do better in SEO. So again, a blog post that is really high quality, 4,000 words, is going to do a lot better than kind of a filler 400 word thing. Again, so that's another reason why all of your posts, you need to focus on quality, not quantity, because in the end, little short ditties aren't going to do you any favors. Brianna says she created a document in Word for the editorial calendar as well as the blog planner. Yay! You know what? I can't go digital either. I'm a tangible person. That's why I use my planner. I have to actually put a pen to paper. So I do my editorial calendar inside of my planner as well. Okay, so yeah. What else do you guys do for launching? Like, for those of you who have launched something, I would love to know what you do in your blog posts. For me, what I do to be strategic with my blog, before I launch something, about a month to a month and a half in advance, I will start writing blog posts that are directly related to the topic of whatever I'm launching. Because a lot of times people don't know, you might, of course, you know whatever you're launching is awesome. You know why people need it, but people don't know that. So before you launch, it's really important to be strategic with your blog. You want to start putting out these really quality blog posts that are going to educate people about the topic of what you're launching, why it's awesome, why they need it, without necessarily being like mentioning that you're launching. You don't just want to be like, hey guys, I'm going to be launching this product right now. This is why, you know, just kind of gently ease people into the topic without just being like, yeah, I'm launching, you know, mentioning that part. And another thing to do in your blog posts, if you are preparing for a launch, is to add in content upgrades. Those are those delightful little extra pieces of content that you put in blog posts that people can get in exchange for their name and their email. But you want to start adding in content upgrades that are directly related to the topic of what you'll be launching. And then in your email marketing provider, you want to tag people who opt in for those content upgrades as leads for whatever it is that you're launching. That's something that I did on my last launch that paid off huge, and it really, really helped. Yes, I love that you guys are chatting. Yay! You guys, this is Coffee Talk, and this is where we come together and chat. So I love that you're talking amongst yourselves. So that is great. I want you to chat and ask questions and share your tips and tricks. Again, I'm just sharing what works for me. All right. So speaking of sharing, we've already kind of talked about like what the heart of your blog strategy should be, how often you should post, what makes a quality post, editorial calendars. We've talked a bit about gateway blog posts and how you need to be creating those to lead into your paid content. But let's talk about sharing. So once you create all of your amazing stuff, you need to have a plan to share it so that people see it. So please, you guys, feel free to share your favorite, like what you do after you write a blog post. What I do after I write a blog post is every blog post, of course, has a pinnable. I don't know why I can't say pinnable without like saying it in a dumb voice. But every blog post I write, of course, has a pinnable blog post image. So the first thing that I do after I write a blog post is I pin it to my Pinterest, and I have all different boards. So I will pin it to one of my boards, but then I use Board Booster. For those of you who haven't used or checked out Board Booster, it's amazing. It's a Pinterest scheduler. So after I immediately pin it to one of my boards, I will then go into Board Booster and schedule it on like 6 other different boards. So I'm not just pinning it to all of my boards at the same time. I'm pinning it to one board right then, but then I'm scheduling it out to like 6 other different boards to go out, you know, at a later time, so that it's kind of spread out. So my blog post will go out like every day for a week, as opposed to just putting it all out there in a week. So that's one of the main things that I do. I then also use Hootsuite to schedule my social media. So I make sure that I am scheduling social media posts on my Instagram, on my Facebook, what the platforms that I'm active on, and I will go plug in posts on Hootsuite that are sharing my post so that I don't have to try to remember to share it. So I will go over like the course of a month and share that post every week, every 2 weeks, but I'll plan out posts in my social media all on the same day so that I'm making sure that I'm remembering to share my post over and over and over. Another thing is I will sometimes share it with my whole email list. So for those of you who are like, what do I send my email list? If you create a really kick-ass blog post, you want to make sure your whole email list sees it too. So I recently wrote a blog post that I thought was really awesome and really helpful. So what I did was I literally added to my email welcome sequence an email that shared that blog post. So now every single person who opts onto my email list, they're enrolled in my email welcome sequence, and that includes an email that leads them to that specific blog post. So it's going to be seen by hundreds and thousands of people just on my email list. So if you have a particularly very important, very awesome blog post, bonus points if it's a blog post that leads to like a really cool lead magnet or something that then leads to a paid piece of content, you should stick that in your welcome sequence to your subscribers. So that's been one of the really big things that I've done. And another thing is sharing. I am now, of course, obsessed with live video. So I will share Instagram stories. Who else does Instagram stories? Do any of you guys do Instagram stories? They are super fun. But now when I write a blog post, I will do Instagram stories about it, and I will also do live videos about it. Live video, you guys, is really powerful. You all know I'm obsessed with live video. So now with Instagram stories and Facebook Live, you should try doing the videos, you guys. They stand out more, they help people connect with you, and you should be sharing your, I can't think of a good descriptive word, but you should be sharing your blog posts via live video. Brianna says, I have a blog each week and a monthly newsletter. So in the newsletter, I link each blog post in case you haven't seen it. Yeah, I mean, that's a good idea. Are you sending out, what else are you sending them, Brianna? Are you sending them anything else besides your blog posts? Just out of curiosity, like, do you send them, is it literally just like a once a month post or email that you just link to your blog post? I'm just curious. But yeah. Okay. So we've talked about sharing that. I literally just told you what I do to share all my blog posts, but basically you spent time creating that blog post. So you need to make sure that you are sharing it over and over and over, not just on the day that you publish it either. Like I mentioned, I use Board Booster to schedule it out to like tons of different boards over a set period of time. I go into Hootsuite so that I'm making sure that over the next several weeks, even months, then I am scheduling social media posts that link back to that, and I have it in my welcome email sequence if it's particularly important so that people are going to it over and over and over again. So that's what I do as far as sharing. And then coming up with content. So I'm going to share with you my kind of ways that I come up with blog content. Again, I would love to hear how you guys come up with content because I don't want to be the only one talking. Okay, so I like to keep a running list of my blog ideas in my phone, so I never feel like I'm scrambling around at the last minute. But ways to come up with blog content, and these might sound obvious to some of you, but they were not obvious to me when I was just starting out, is FAQs. Like, what questions do you get asked by people in your emails, in your Facebook group, by friends, by family, whatever? What are FAQs? Turn those into a blog post so you don't have to answer them over and over and over again. If someone asks you that question, you can just literally be like, oh, hey, I've got this really juicy blog post to answer your question. Here you go. Another way to come up with blog content, it, again, might sound obvious to some of you, but going into Facebook groups where your ideal client hangs out and just kind of looking through, seeing what people are asking, what kind of questions are people asking about, what do they need help with, what are they trying to figure out, what do they want. Just doing a little online stalking. This can be other people's groups. This can be your own group if you have one. But you just need to make sure that you can't just go into any group, obviously. You have to go into a group with the type of people that you are trying to write to. Again, which is why it's really clear to be super on point with knowing exactly who that is. Another way is to look at comments on other people's blogs. This is a great way to come up with content ideas. So you should visit blogs that are in your niche, right, with the same type of audience, and then look through the comments, because a lot of times in the comment section, there are going to be people asking questions or being like, oh yeah, this is really great, but how do I blank? Or, oh cool, but what would you suggest for blank? So go look through comments, and not just other people's comments, but don't forget your own comments. So if you're getting blog comments, a lot of times I know with me, I get a lot of questions in my comments, and those are things that I will use as fodder for future blog posts. Also asking people. I ask people. You can send a survey. I'm not super into surveys. I just know for me, if someone sends me a survey, I pretty much never, if I get emailed a survey, I will almost never fill it out. And then that's just me. I know some people send surveys and I'm sure they get questions. So you could totally do that. I think Typeform, is that a survey thing you could use? But I prefer to just ask people in my Facebook group, ask people on my Facebook page. I even wrote a blog post about it one time. What do you want to hear about? But just straight up ask people. Ask people and they will tell you, and then you can give it to them. Let's see. Also, coming up with content ideas. If you want to make money blogging and you have stuff you're trying to sell, you should be writing blog posts that educate people about whatever it is you're trying to sell. So you don't have to be like writing a blog post where you're like, sell, go buy it now. But you want to be writing valuable blog posts that educate people and explain to them why they need it without necessarily just trying to sell in their face. That is a case where you would want to link to, say, like a piece of free content, which then leads to your paid content. People are way more likely to sign up for something if it's free, especially if they don't know you and they don't have a relationship with you, rather than just trying to sell them something straight off the bat, if you know what I mean. So I always say share your free paid, that didn't make sense. Share your free content way more than your paid content. I'm trying to think. Also, when planning your blog content, upcoming launches. So think about your upcoming launches like we already talked about. So you want to be strategic with your blog. You don't just want to be blogging aimlessly. When you're doing your editorial calendar, think about gateway content for your launches and think about things that are going to really boost your brand. So focusing on quality. Brianna, I only started my business full time, so I've been sending them first dibs on new items, special discounts. That's cool. Okay, cool. I just didn't know, because I know some people only send out their blog post, like, here's my weekly blog post, and I was going to simply suggest, switching it up a little bit. You want to treat your email subscribers kind of like VIPs. They're giving you their email, so you should be sending them special stuff, which it sounds like you are. Email is a great way to do lots of things, so you don't just want to simply be sending them weekly blog posts when they could just go to your blog and get it from you anyway. And I think I shared all my blogging strategy, you guys. So if there are any questions, if you have tips that you haven't shared yet, we kind of went over your foundation, which is focus, value, and quality. We talked about formatting, how important it is. We talked about how often you should blog, how to be consistent with an editorial calendar. We talked about SEO tips. I talked about what I do to share my blog posts, talked about ideas on how to come up with content. But the bottom line is you've got to be strategic. And if you take anything away from what I'm telling you today, it is to be focused. I will probably say this in every coffee talk because it is literally the foundation for everything. But if you don't have a business plan for your blog yet, really suggest that you make one. After all, you want to turn it into a business, right? So that will give you focus. Every single blog post needs focus. And the second I got more focused is when things started happening for me. So be honest with yourself. Be focused. I'm not gonna lie. It was really hard for me to delete. I had literally built up years worth of personal posts, recipes, just personal, share my story posts and all of that. And it was very hard for me to delete those or, to make them unavailable because I had spent so much time on them. But when I got honest with myself, I was like, they're not really serving my purpose. They're not really serving my ideal client. They're just kind of muddling up my content. So eventually I deleted them. And I actually did a podcast yesterday, which is coming out soon. But one of the things the lady said to me was one of the reasons why I love your blog is because it's so focused. That is a compliment I get a lot. So it is very important, you guys. Even if you do like a lifestyle blog, for example, I hear a lot of people say, well, I have a lifestyle blog. Okay. That, by the way, my hair is just annoying me today. But like, if I'm not ditching lifestyle blogs, but you need to be more specific than a lifestyle blog. There are a billion types of lifestyles out there, there's like the rocker lifestyle. There's you can't just be like, oh, I have a lifestyle blog. What does that mean? So if I show up to a blog and it's like, minimalist living on a blank dollar budget. That's a very specific type of lifestyle, and I'll be way more likely to be interested in it or not because I know what type of lifestyle they're talking about. So I'm just throwing that out there as an example of how you can be focused. But if you have like a lifestyle blog even, you need to be specifying exactly what type of lifestyle that is because there's like a million types of lifestyles. Megan, hey! Blarg. I really want to be able to watch these live. Oh no! It's okay. I'm so sorry. Well, you're technically here live, right? You commented. But yeah, I wish you could come live too. All right. So that is the end of today's coffee talk. Keep feeling free to chat amongst yourselves, sharing your tips. These are here to help everybody, and I want everybody, not just me talking. And also, if you enjoy coffee talks, I'm going to be doing them every week. If you know anybody, any lady bosses who would enjoy them, be sure to invite them to this group. I'm only doing them in this group. And if you need a cheat sheet on blog post titles, which reminds me, one of my favorite ways to come up with blog post ideas if I'm feeling totally stumped is I will actually create just a really awesome blog post title, and then I will use that as like the inspiration and outline for my blog post. So I have a I've got a big ass cheat sheet with tons of blog post titles that will help to catch people's attention. So if you want that, I'm going to be posting the link to it above this video, and it's a cheat sheet that's really going to help you come up with cool blog post titles. So I'll post a link to that after I am done recording and after it's done uploading. And next week, we are going to be talking about how to build relationships in the blogging world and how to network, because it's really important not just trying to do everything yourself. If anyone likes it, I'm one of those people who's like, no, I'll do it myself. I can do everything myself. But things get so much easier when you actually form relationships. They are helpful for support, they're helpful for learning, and of course, opportunities. When you collaborate with people, it can be really, really good at just whether it's building your audience or making more money or anything like that. So we're going to be talking about how to cultivate awesome relationships that are going to help you in your journey next week. So if you have any questions that you want to know specifically about that, feel free to drop them below and I will answer them next week. Got the blog title cheat sheet today. You did, Alicia. That's awesome. I hadn't even posted it. You just read my mind. So yeah, for those of you who want the blog post title cheat sheet, I'm going to post a link after this is done uploading. Shelly, yay, you're welcome. I'm glad you found them helpful. I kind of felt like I was all over the place because I was trying to share so much. So hopefully it made sense. Yeah. Okay, you guys. Well, I'm going to head out. But thank you so much for coming. I'm going to go finish my coffee. And remember to be strategic with your blog posts. Be focused, all right? And if you missed it, you can watch the whole video momentarily when I upload it. You learned a ton. Yay! Awesome. Cool. That is great to hear. Good, you guys. And I seriously love coming to chat with you. I love hearing what you guys are doing too. So share is my motto. Share with each other. Let's help each other out. Let's come together. I don't believe in hoarding strategies. I believe in trying things, making them work, and then sharing them once I figure out what the Sam Hill I'm doing. You are very welcome, Brianna. I'm so glad you could make it. And be sure to tune in next week, 1 o'clock. It's every Thursday. And you guys may or may not have noticed the cute little graphic I created over the weekend. It's pinned at the top of the post, but it's for Coffee Talk. So if you think of anything that you want to talk about, a subject you want to talk about, a topic you want to learn about or need help with or want tips on or tutorials on, whatever, be sure to let me know. Comment on that graphic that's pinned at the top of the post, and I will literally add it to the schedule. I choose these topics based on what you guys want to hear about and the questions you're asking and what y'all want to chat about. All right. So here's to having a productive and awesome Thursday, and let's do this. Let's keep the group moving, and let's keep at it, you guys. All right. Boom. All right. I'm gonna awkwardly turn off the video now. Let me see if I can find the button.